You are trapped inside an institutional slaughterhouse designed to bleed you dry. I am about to hand you the brutal, uncompromising blueprint to violently escape and build absolute wealth. But pay close attention, because the terrifying reality waiting for you at the summit will shatter everything you know. Look around you. The people you pass on the street, the faces you see in the mirror. Most of them are already financially dead, suffocating under the debris of their own arrogance, and they do not even realize the autopsy has begun. You probably clicked on this hoping for a quick hit of dopamine, a secret shortcut to millions that you can effortlessly pull off by next weekend. If that is who you are, run away right now. What you are about to hear is not a gentle suggestion. It is a brutal, uncompromising, and deeply personal roadmap to engineering a multi-million-dollar net worth from absolute scratch. It is a forensic diagnostic of exactly why you are bleeding out and precisely how to stop it. Wealth building is a deadly game of Jenga. One wrong move, one skipped step in your youth, and the entire structure of your future collapses, leaving you trapped under the weight of your own regret. If you are brave enough to stay and face the cold, mathematical reality of what it actually takes to be free, then I urge you to hit that subscribe button right now to support the channel and give us the driving force to keep bringing you these life-altering truths. Warmly welcomes you to the beginning of your new life. Now, let us return to ground zero, age 13. When I look back at that age, I feel a profound sense of urgency that most people never grasp until it is far too late. The single greatest, most radically unfair advantage you possess at 13 is not your raw intellect. It is not some hidden talent, and it is certainly not capital. It is time. I need you to feel the absolute, terrifying savagery of compound interest deep in your bones. It is not some romanticized snowball gently rolling down a picturesque hill. It is a violent avalanche. It will either propel you to the absolute apex of human freedom, or it will bury you alive under decades of relentless wage slavery. At 13, your money has decades to breed in the dark. While your peers are on their knees begging their parents for the latest gaming console or designer sneakers, items that rapidly cannibalize their future, draining liquidity and depreciating to zero the very second the box is ripped open. You must become a completely different creature. You must sit your parents down, look them dead in the eye, and demand the creation of a custodial account. You are not asking for a favor. You are presenting the business case for your own existence. You must make them understand that every single dollar they allow you to blow on mindless entertainment is a dollar violently stolen from your future empire. And once that account is open, you do not play games. You do not day trade based on fleeting emotions, and you certainly do not chase the desperate highs of meme stocks. You index. You aggressively funnel every spare bill into the S500. It is a profoundly comforting, almost intoxicating feeling to know that while you sleep, the 500 most ruthless, hyper-efficient corporations on planet Earth are sweating, grinding, and working tirelessly to expand your net worth. This is your financial oxygen tank. You are inhaling pure, unadulterated equity, while an entire generation around you is choking on the toxic fumes of consumerism. Then, the clock ticks forward to age 14. I call this the free trial of human existence. Stop for a second and realize how incredibly beautiful this moment is. You have zero overhead. There is no crippling mortgage, no utility bills to keep the lights on, no property taxes threatening to evict you. You are existing inside a sterilized, perfectly safe incubator. This is the exact, fleeting moment in your life to run massive, reckless, beautiful experiments with your time and energy. You must try a dozen different ways to generate capital. Mow lawns until your hands blister. Wash cars in the suffocating heat. Flip forgotten items online. I can promise you, from my own bitter and exhausting experience, that most of these ventures will fail spectacularly. And that is exactly the point. You are stepping into the arena and buying raw, unfiltered data on how the real world operates, and you are doing it without paying the devastating, life-altering tuition of adult failure. But let me be painfully clear. None of these tactics matter even slightly if your internal operating system is weak. At 14, you are forced to forge a titanium mind, a psychological fortress that cannot be breached by laziness or distraction. You must initiate the 4 a.m. protocol. While your peers are drooling on their pillows, lost in dreams that will never materialize, you are awake in the silent, cold darkness. You are reading. You are pushing your body through grueling physical exercise. You are quietly plotting your ascent. Waking up at 4 a.m. is a brutal, daily campaign of sawing off a limb to save the life. You consciously choose to sacrifice temporary, warm comfort to amputate your own inherent weakness and build an insurmountable competitive moat between you and the rest of the world. By the time the sun finally creeps over the horizon, you have already outworked 99% of the human population. This quiet, agonizing discipline is the absolute bedrock of everything that comes next. Without it, you are just another tragic statistic, waiting patiently to be chewed up and spat out by an unforgiving system. That 4 a.m. foundation is the only thing that will keep you from shattering when the true isolation begins at age 15. You are no longer a child playing with micro-ventures. You are entering the crucible of skill acquisition, a phase so deeply uncomfortable that most people will instantly retreat to the warmth of mediocrity. At 15, the sheer physical exhaustion of washing cars or flipping garage sale junk must evolve into something far more lethal. You must pivot from trading your raw physical labor for pennies to commanding the marketplace through high-income, highly scalable skills. The marketplace is a sociopathic entity. It does not care about your feelings, your background, or how hard you work. It only compensates you based on the magnitude of the problems you can solve. You must lock yourself in your room and obsessively learn how to code, how to write persuasive copy that parts people from their money, or how to close high-ticket sales over a phone. You must consume information with a borderline psychotic hunger. While your peers are desperately trying to fit into the social hierarchy of high school, a synthetic, utterly meaningless ecosystem designed to train obedient factory workers, you are architecting your escape. This is where the emotional toll becomes incredibly heavy. You will start to realize that you are outgrowing the friends you have known since kindergarten. You will sit at the lunch table, listening to them obsess over trivial drama, video game rankings, or Friday night parties, and you will feel a profound, chilling alienation. They are speaking a language you no longer understand. You are looking at the world through the lens of leverage, margins, and compound growth, while they are entirely consumed by the dopamine drip of social media validation. You must be willing to let them go. It is a heartbreaking reality, but you cannot carry dead weight up a mountain. If you try to drag them along, if you try to dilute your ambition to make them feel comfortable, they will inevitably pull you back down into the abyss. At 16, this isolation deepens as you secure your first real clients. You are no longer asking for an allowance. You are sending invoices to businesses run by adults twice your age, and they are paying you because you deliver asymmetric value. This is the moment you taste true blood. The first time $1,000 lands in your checking account, not from a birthday card, but from a system you built with your own intellect, your entire paradigm fractures permanently. You realize that money is infinite, floating all around you in the ether, waiting to be captured by anyone competent enough to build a net. But with this revelation comes an intoxicating arrogance that you must aggressively suppress. It is incredibly easy at 16 to make a few $1,000s and suddenly think you have conquered the universe. You must violently crush that ego. Every single dollar you extract from your new high-income skill must be immediately diverted away from your immediate desires and funneled straight into the very S500 index funds you opened at 13, or reinvested directly back into your business infrastructure. You are not buying a car to impress teenagers who will be broke in 5 years. You are buying server space. You are buying elite courses. You are buying back your own time. You are building a war chest. The discipline required to stare at a growing bank account and refuse to touch it is agonizing. It requires you to operate with the cold, unfeeling precision of a machine, entirely divorcing your emotions from your capital. You are learning to delay gratification on a level that is almost masochistic, understanding that the temporary pain of missing out on a teenage experience is the exact price you must pay for a lifetime of absolute sovereignty. By the end of your 16th year, you are a ghost in your own life. You exist physically in the hallways of your school, but mentally, you are operating in a completely different stratosphere, silently preparing for the brutal transition into adulthood, where the stakes become agonizingly real. Once you have weaponized your mind with high-income skills, you must confront the great lie of your late teens, the illusion that trading your own time for money will ever make you truly rich. At 17, the ceiling of your own physical capacity hits you like a freight train. You realize that even if you are the greatest copywriter, coder, or closer on earth, there are still only 24 hours in a day, and the moment you stop typing or speaking, your cash flow violently flatlines. This is the era of leverage and the absolute death of your ego. You must transition from being an operator to being an architect. You can no longer be the primary engine of your business. You must build the machine that runs the engine. This requires hiring people, often individuals older and vastly more experienced than you, to execute the very tasks you painstakingly taught yourself. Delegating is terrifying. It feels like handing a loaded weapon to a stranger and hoping they do not shoot you in the foot. You will watch them make mistakes, you will bleed capital due to their inefficiencies, and your immediate, visceral instinct will be to snatch the control back and do it yourself. You must resist this urge with every fiber of your being. If you remain the smartest person in your business, you have built a prison, not an empire. You must swallow your pride and accept that a team operating at 70% efficiency at scale will always annihilate a single genius operating at 100% in isolation. Simultaneously, as you turn 18, the societal pressure to conform reaches a deafening, hysterical pitch. Your parents, your teachers, and the entire systemic apparatus will corner you, demanding that you sign away hundreds of thousands of dollars in unforgivable debt to attend a university and secure a safe corporate job. They will look at the thriving, cash-flowing business you have built and dismiss it as a cute hobby, urging you to get serious about your future. This is the ultimate test of your psychological fortitude. You are staring down the barrel of an institutional slaughterhouse designed to strip you of your individuality, bury you in student loans, and spit you out as a compliant taxpayer terrified of losing their health insurance. You must look at this deeply flawed system and entirely reject its premise. If you choose to step foot on a college campus, you do it strictly as a covert operative. You are not there for the archaic curriculum. You are there to ruthlessly network, to extract talent, and to find other anomalies hidden in the herd. But whether you go or not, 18 is guaranteed to bring your first catastrophic failure. The business model that printed cash at 16 will suddenly break. An algorithm will change, a key client will default, or a macroeconomic shift will wipe out half your net worth in a matter of days. The devastation will be absolute. You will lie on the floor of your bedroom, staring at the ceiling, feeling the crushing weight of panic in your chest, convinced that your brief stint with success was nothing more than a statistical fluke. This pain is not an accident. It is a mandatory initiation ritual. This catastrophic loss is the universe burning away the last remnants of your childhood arrogance. It teaches you that past success is not an entitlement to future wealth. You must scrape yourself off the floor, look objectively at the smoking crater of your business, and forensically diagnose the failure without an ounce of self-pity. You learn to rebuild faster, leaner, and with an impenetrable layer of risk management. You realize that failure is not a reflection of your worth, but merely a data point, an expensive, agonizing lesson that tells you exactly where your armor was weak. You step out of your 18th year not as a lucky kid who made a few bucks, but as a battle-hardened operator who has tasted the bitter ash of ruin and learned how to breathe it in. Emerging from the wreckage of your own bruised ego, 19 is the exact moment you pivot from merely generating cash to violently seizing real, tangible assets. Cash, you will quickly realize, is a melting block of ice, rapidly evaporating under the silent, invisible theft of inflation. If you simply hoard the profits from your businesses, you are still playing a losing game, allowing central banking systems to steadily drain your purchasing power while you sleep. At 19 and 20, your entire paradigm of money must undergo a radical, almost terrifying evolution. You stop viewing money as a reward for hard work and start viewing it strictly as kinetic energy, a massive, unfeeling army of financial soldiers waiting for your absolute command. You must deploy them aggressively into hard assets that produce undeniable yield and appreciate over time, completely detached from your physical labor. This is where you enter the complex, high-stakes arena of commercial real estate, or acquiring boring, unglamorous yet recession-proof businesses from retiring operators who lack a succession plan. You are no longer just blindly buying index funds. You are aggressively acquiring tangible, cash-flowing fortresses that offer massive, legal tax shelters. Speaking of taxes, this is the precise age where you realize that the global tax code is not a weapon forged to oppress you. It is a meticulously detailed treasure map written by the wealthy, specifically for the wealthy. The middle class is conditioned to view taxes as an unavoidable, tragic confiscation of their life force, a burden they must silently bear. You must view the tax code as a game of systemic incentives, understanding that the government legally and enthusiastically rewards you for doing what it is entirely incompetent at doing itself, providing affordable housing, creating sustainable jobs, and stimulating economic velocity. You will hire elite, aggressive accountants not to commit the foolish crime of evasion, but to legally and surgically manipulate the system, driving your effective tax rate down to the absolute floor, while your former peers surrender nearly half their hard-earned wages before they even see a paycheck. Furthermore, your fundamental relationship with debt must completely invert. The masses are rightfully terrified of debt, viewing it as a suffocating, rusty chain wrapped around their necks in the form of high-interest consumer credit cards and depreciating auto loans. You, however, must learn to wield debt as a razor-sharp surgical scalpel. You will discover the intoxicating, deeply unfair power of asymmetric leverage, using a bank's practically infinite capital to acquire massive assets that you fully and legally control. You learn to borrow millions at 5% to buy an asset that safely yields 12%, continuously pocketing the massive spread while inflation actively and beautifully eats away the true cost of your underlying loan. You are, in essence, legally stealing from the economic future to aggressively build your present reality. Operating at this level of financial maneuvering requires a cold, almost psychopathic clinical detachment. You cannot afford to be emotionally attached to a piece of real estate or a business acquisition. You look strictly at the cold math, the cash-on-cash returns, the capitalization rates, and the brutal worst-case scenario stress tests. If the numbers do not overwhelmingly and mathematically support your thesis, you walk away without a single second thought, no matter how much emotional energy or time you invested in the initial negotiation. By the time you reach the end of your 20th year, you are managing a complex, living, interlocking web of automated income streams, deep equity, and highly strategic liabilities. Your net worth is now accelerating at a violent velocity that might actually terrify you in quiet moments. The compounding effect you initiated with those first few dollars at age 13 is now hitting its explosive parabolic curve, violently pushing you out of the gravitational pull of the working class and into a rarefied stratosphere where normal financial laws no longer apply. You have become structurally untouchable, entirely insulated from the cyclical economic panics that regularly send the rest of society into a blind, desperate frenzy. The relentless deployment of those financial soldiers will eventually bring you to the threshold of your 20s, where the millions finally materialize in the real world, bringing with them a terrifying, entirely unexpected new reality. You will cross the esoteric, mythical threshold of a multi-million-dollar net worth, a seemingly impossible number you have obsessed over, physically bled for, and aggressively sacrificed your entire youth to attain, only to realize that the summit of the mountain is shockingly, almost violently, silent. The world does not stop spinning to applaud you. There is no grand parade, no sudden angelic chorus, and absolutely no magical alleviation of all your internal human suffering. In fact, the exact moment the banking screen reflects that heavy, seven-figure balance, you will likely feel a cold, hollow, echoing sense of emptiness that none of the self-proclaimed gurus ever warn you about. You have spent your entire formative existence violently chasing a distant horizon, defining your entire identity by the struggle. And now that you have actually reached it, you are forced to confront the person in the mirror without the convenient, exhausting distraction of the daily grind. This is the ultimate, final crucible of the self-made. The impoverished masses erroneously believe that money is a magical salve that cures the human condition. It is not. Money is merely an incredibly efficient, unforgiving magnifying glass. It radically and instantly amplifies whatever was already deeply rooted inside your soul. If you were a miserable, deeply insecure, and hollow individual before the money arrived, you will become a catastrophic, heavily resourced disaster after it, surrounded by sycophants who will eagerly help you destroy yourself. The true, hidden cost of this absolute freedom is the crushing, inescapable weight of total responsibility. You can no longer blame a tyrannical boss, a lack of starting capital, or an inherently unfair economic system for any lingering unhappiness or lack of fulfillment in your life. You have bought your own time back in full, and you now face the terrifying, infinite blank canvas of total autonomy. As you walk through the world, you will see the people around you, people you might have once envied for their simple, carefree teenage years, now permanently chained to their cubicle desks. You will watch them beg for a pitiful 2 weeks of vacation a year, drowning in 30-year mortgages for houses they barely occupy, buying things they cannot afford just to impress neighbors they secretly despise. You will look at them not with a sneering arrogance, but with a profound, quiet sense of tragedy, intimately knowing that they are trapped in an invisible matrix they stubbornly refuse to acknowledge. You have successfully escaped the slaughterhouse, but survival outside the confines of that matrix requires a completely new psychological operating system. You must forcefully pivot your consciousness from the desperate pursuit of accumulation to the deliberate pursuit of deep, unshakable meaning. Let me be clear. You do not stop working. Stopping, retiring to a beach to drink cocktails, is the fastest, most guaranteed route to a depressive, degenerative cognitive spiral. Instead, you continue to work with a ferocious intensity because you finally choose to, not because you are ordered to. You leverage your massive capital to build projects that genuinely impact humanity. You fund philosophical causes that actually move the needle of progress, and you architect generational infrastructure that will heavily outlive your own frail physical body. You finally realize that true, unadulterated wealth was never just the digits sitting on a digital balance sheet. It is the absolute, uncompromised sovereignty over your own mind, your physical health, and your daily calendar. It is the breathtaking ability to wake up on a random Tuesday morning, look out the window at the rising sun, and know with absolute certainty that every single second of the day belongs entirely, undeniably, to you. The violent avalanche of compound interest and discipline you deliberately triggered at age 13 has safely and permanently deposited you at the very apex of human freedom. The deep scars you collected along the way, the agonizing social isolation, the devastating business failures, the freezing 4 a.m. darkness, the lost childhood friendships, were never punishments. They were simply the precise, non-negotiable currency required to purchase a reality that 99% of the human population will only ever painfully experience in their fleeting dreams. The autopsy of your old self is complete. You are no longer merely surviving the system. You are finally, undeniably and powerfully awake. The journey from a deeply isolated teenager forging high-income skills to a fully sovereign adult wielding multi-million-dollar assets is a brutal, agonizing, yet ultimately magnificent evolution. It demands a complete departure from societal norms, forcing you to willingly accept the painful loss of childhood friendships, endure catastrophic financial failures, and master the unfeeling mechanics of leverage, debt, and systemic tax advantages. This path is not for the fragile. It requires a relentless level of discipline, substituting the cheap, fleeting dopamine of teenage conformity for the agonizing delay of gratification. Yet, the ultimate revelation waiting at the summit of this financial mountain is not a magical cure for human suffering, but total, inescapable responsibility. Crossing the threshold into absolute wealth exposes the great illusion of modern society. Money does not fix your internal condition. It violently amplifies it. True wealth is never just about accumulating digits on a screen. It is about aggressively buying back your time and achieving absolute sovereignty over your own existence. By completely destroying the old, compliant version of yourself, you architect a reality where you are no longer a victim of the economic machine, but the undisputed master of your own destiny. The scars of isolation and the ashes of early failures were simply the non-negotiable price of admission to a life of uncompromised freedom, allowing you to finally live fully awake while the rest of the world continues to sleepwalk through an invisible matrix. Money is not a destination or a cure for unhappiness. It is an amplifier and a tool for buying back your autonomy. The ultimate goal of financial success is not infinite consumption or societal status, but the absolute, uncompromised freedom to control your own time, mind, and calendar. If you do not build the internal psychological framework to handle this freedom, the wealth will destroy you just as quickly as poverty would. Embrace the isolation of skill building. Stop diluting your ambition to fit in with peers who do not share your vision. Dedicate your free time strictly to mastering a high-income, scalable skill: coding, copywriting, sales, rather than consuming meaningless entertainment. Shift from operator to architect. If you run a business or side hustle, stop trying to do everything yourself. Force yourself to delegate tasks to others, accepting short-term inefficiencies to build a machine that scales without your constant physical labor. Redefine your relationship with money. Stop viewing money as a reward to be spent. Treat every dollar as a financial soldier. Immediately redirect your profits into tangible, cash-flowing assets or index funds. Let go of the need to look rich today so you can actually be sovereign tomorrow. What is one high-income skill you are currently learning or plan to learn to start buying back your own time? Please share your thoughts and goals in the comments section below so we can all read and learn from each other's perspectives. If you found value in this message, please hit the subscribe button to support the channel and give us the motivation to keep creating more powerful content for you.